Hey, welcome back to The Hook with Chris, where we get behind the scenes and thoughts of business owners and people moving the needle. Who am I? I'm Chris Weitzel, owner of Chris Seafood. We are located at 1300 Seagrave, Unit 4. Who am I? I bring to the table 20 years of sales experience from both the finance industry and more recently the retail sector, where my wife and I ran a roadside stand while still attending a couple farmers markets. It was in these venues we've amassed thousands of face-to-face sales. We currently own and operate a fish and seafood store. I love sales almost as much as I love business. The man to my left today, his culinary repertoire, rooted in classical French technique, was developed in such Toronto hotspots as Splendido, Mistura, Goldfish, and the Metropolitan Hotel. In 2005, Chef and his wife Jenn returned to Woodstock, and along with his mother, Pauline Bucek, opened 639, where we are today. Here they deliver, along with sous chef Sam Vandenberg, a homegrown Oxford County, from-scratch, farm-to-table experience. He is a recipient of the top 30 under 30, one of the chefs at our wedding, my friend of 12 years plus, and chef and restaurateur Eric Boyar.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time to hang out today, Eric.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, this is a pretty serious question right off the hop. I wanted to sort of get some clarification on something I found that piqued my curiosity. I've been in your kitchen back here at work many times, and I noticed there's one appliance that's not present. And in researching for this interview, it was confirmed that in order for your girls to throw a bag of popcorn in the microwave, they would have to go to grandma's house.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So now even Nigella Lawson has what she refers to as a microwave. So can you fill me in on the why there is none present in either of your kitchens?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it comes from like just, years of seeing things happen in restaurants and stuff like that and not it be a tool used appropriately. Now there is use. There's legitimate uses for them nowadays, but we still we have lots of other tools and tricks to not have to utilize that kind of thing. And making popcorn is like Jiffy Pop on the stove can be a way funner experience, a little bit more hazardous, but
more authentic.
But yeah, exactly. We love at home when we're making a pot of popcorn and on the stovetop with lid and fresh popcorn in the thing and fresh butter and there's just something about that type of popcorn that like doesn't need a microwave that is just so much better. You get as much butter as you want to put on there, as much salt as you want to put on there, and just delicious all around. But in the restaurant, we really, most of the restaurants I worked in throughout the years never really had a microwave anyways. No. And I think there's certain cool things with modern cooking techniques and stuff like that you can use a microwave for. The 1 minute cake is kind of a fad that took off for a while and was easy because you could make a quick batter, throw it in a butter floured microwave safe container. Throw it in there. A minute and a half later, you have this, super fresh cake that is going to the plate. So, really a neat idea, but at the end of the day, we want to remain true to our classic, and modern techniques.
Right on. So, like sticking with kitchen equipment, what's the one utensil or piece of equipment that you think everyone should have in their own kitchen?
Oh man, a Vitamix is a huge asset for us. With making soups and purees and sauces and emulsifications and you just can't get that quality of and consistency of product without it. The little hand blender is not going to do it. The food processor is not going to do it. But that Vitamix, and obviously I'm not sponsored or anything by Vitamix, but
this show is brought to you by.
Yeah. But no, just an amazing tool. The horsepower is higher on this piece of equipment. The blades are sharper. They have new technologies for it that just create much better, better end results.
Makes sense. Now let's start at the beginning, going back all the way before culinary school. What inspired you to be a chef, and how did you get started in the industry?
Sure.
But I know for me that I didn't figure out what I wanted to do, go to college, until the day I was sitting in the guidance counselor's office, scrolling through the brochures for Fanshawe College and seeing financial services. So, it's 1997, stock market's rolling. So I thought, well, a bunch of my friends and my girlfriend at the time were going, and why not follow the money become a financial advisor? Terrible rationale, but here we are. But so what got you into wanting to be a chef, Eric?
I think one thing that I knew I wanted to do for sure was do something I liked to do. I didn't know it immediately that I wanted to be a chef or to cook or that kind of thing. That did take a little bit of time, but I think where it really started to take shape was at a young age at home. My family, we didn't eat out much. We made a lot of meals at home together. My family background came from a farming family. So, we didn't personally have a farm, but, my aunt and uncle, my grandparents, or my aunts and uncles all had farms. My grandparents had farms. So the big thing was a switch from the tobacco industry, back in the 90s, tobacco got hit pretty hard in Ontario, and so people had to switch. They had to change stuff up. And so a lot of my family were tobacco farmers.
Right.
So they switched to vegetable farming. I remember working on my grandpa's farm, my uncle's farm. We'd be picking peppers and being in the barn cutting leeks and just stuff like that. So it was really kind of cool seeing where our food came from, where it was a part of, and it kind of at that point cooking wasn't even in my mind. It was just we were picking vegetables, we were planting vegetables, we were doing all that stuff. But really, I think looking back now, that gave me a foundation to what I actually wanted to bring forward. So it wasn't until about high school that I really saw trying to find where I wanted to go. And this is pre Food Network Canada. This is pre, social media. Yeah. This was, the days, early mid 90s of really kind of taking things in control for yourself and really pushing to what you wanted to do. So I took a co-op in high school at a restaurant. So small restaurant, Mount Pleasant, Ontario, Devlin's County Bistro, who's still kicking it today. Ryan hammering, Ryan Devlin and his dad really hammering out solid food for Southwestern Ontario. So it's still one of those legacy businesses that have been around for a long time and will continue to be around. So I'm glad I was able to kind of get my feet wet as a young aspiring cook to see what was going on. So didn't really do a crazy amount there because you're young and you're in high school, but cutting up salad, making crepes, doing dishes, seeing the guys work in the kitchen and the fast pace and the excitement really kind of tickled my fancy, and I was like, oh, this is exciting. This got me. I was excited to go to my co-op every day. I wanted to stay later. These were all the things that kind of got me going. And then the following year I applied to Humber College for the culinary program. Right. So and that's where it all kind of started taking off. So. That was the route in which I was like, okay, I think this is going to be my direction. So, yeah.
So the work, seeing the work being done in the fields, the labor that was surrounding food, seeing the long hours in a co-op for some of the people who might not be familiar with the younger generation would be your 5th year of high school.
Yep.
And so you had that work ethic instilled in you at a young age then, and kind of transferred that into the long hours, which comes with being in kitchen.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I think, I've never been afraid of hard work. I think that being a people pleaser and wanting to work hard, wanting to do a good job, wanting something to be proud of, wanted people to be proud of me. Those were all things that really, started to take place, building my career. Being in the back in the kitchen, oftentimes you don't get the satisfaction of knowing what the guests have. how they're enjoying things, what they're looking like, unless the front of house, your servers, your managers are coming and telling you. So it was nice because you every now and again you'd hear, oh, this person really enjoyed this dish, this person loved that, and
Right.
it's really that starts really building your confidence and knowing that, like, okay, well, you're doing something really good here. You're enjoying yourself and you're really liking it. So yeah, the hard work, the long hours, the dedication is all something that, like, I think has pushed me to where we are today.
Right. So what kind of advice would you give to any up and comer, any young kid looking to get into the industry, thinks that maybe that there might be for them? What kind of advice do you give a kid nowadays?
It's more about the long game. Focus on the long game. Don't focus on what's happening here and now and your titles.
What looks cool on the Food Network.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that we've the industry has been glamorized quite extensively. Since internet, since these Food Network shows and all this expansion of social media has really, like, pushed the industry in a lot of positive ways, but into negative ways as well. So I think it gives this false idea sometimes of what a chef is supposed to be. Right. We can't have all the glamour and the glory without the long hours, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. So, you do have to take the good and the bad.
So out of the handful of restaurants I listed in your intro, when you're coming up in the ranks in Toronto, when you're honing your craft and figure out what direction you wanted to go, which one of those restaurants was your favorite?
Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, because I was always of the thought that I really wanted to be a sponge. I wanted to learn everything I could for every place I worked for. And as a young man, you push forward and you want to do a good job. So I think, trying to find that one restaurant is really difficult. Mm-hmm. I think, between, I would say between Splendido, Mistura, and another restaurant called Crush Wine Bar, those were like three pivotal career moves for me that I learned so much. I had great opportunity, worked with phenomenal peers and chefs, and really kind of, put me on the right trajectory to where we are today, building that base, building, those key fundamental skills to be able to kind of do something for myself and train people and do a good job. But it also kind of gave me the perspective of who I wanted to be as a chef. I really wanted to kind of know that, I had a little bit more of a nurturing, way of training people, teaching them and going through them, and my steps in that were always, I'm going to show you first, then we're going to do it together, and then you're going to do it, and I'm going to watch you, and from there you're on your own. And there's always kind of keeping people in check and that kind of thing, but I felt those were the things that I got from those restaurants. Right. Those skills I got, those, they were able to do that for me.
So you can say that's part of the culture that you've created and wanted to create at 639 was learn, teach, let them go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, and that's been able to put us in the position we're in today with our team here. It's given everybody the opportunity to grow into their own roles themselves and really be part of something that's it's about 639. Mm-hmm. And what's 639 about? 639 is about, really, phenomenal food that's obtained locally through relationships, but also giving a service level that is bar none in our area, the best that we can offer, while being kind of unpretentious. Right. We really want a high-end environment, a high-end food, but really we want you to be yourself coming into the restaurant, and whether that's staff members or that's guests, we want you to feel comfortable coming here.
Now, I know I definitely made my wife and I, this is comfortable. This is where we had our first date. actually proposed to my wife right here where we sit. And I can attest to the amount of years I was able to sit and watch you guys do your work back here. It's absolutely amazing. So when deciding to open your own restaurant, you did it with your wife and your mom, your immediate family. So I don't know, like Holly and I realized numerous times that maybe she should just keep her day job, which she has and still continues to teach while helping out a fair bit in our business. But we realize we don't always work well together. But what are your thoughts at the time when you decided?
Well, I was 25 when we opened 639, so I was in my mind now, in retrospect, I was young, but I feel I was ready. You know, I think it took me some time to realize I was ready. Like when my mom and my dad first initially, put the question forward to me. I'd been in Toronto, 8 years, and we were kind of just living there, going out at night, living the rat race and that kind of thing. So when the question first came up, I was really hesitant. I was like, well, I like living in Toronto. I love the culture. I love the nightlife. I love, the industry and the growth and so I was on the fence for quite a while. And after giving it some serious thought for about 6 months, that's when really decided to kind of go for it, because there's lots going on in Toronto, and there will always be lots going on in Toronto and every other city, but where our food comes from is in a city. And I felt that back in the early 2000s, we'd gotten away from where our food came from, and there wasn't a whole lot of people. There was everybody around, getting the best product from this place in the world and this place in the world. And it's like, but we have the best product here. But when it's in season, I don't need to be, have asparagus on my menu in December.
The globalization just doesn't make sense sometimes.
So we really wanted to kind of start to look at what that looks like again. And Woodstock didn't have the greatest reputation of holding on to, higher end restaurants and nicer restaurants. So we wanted to do something obviously that was going to be higher end, but also have longevity to it. So we really, push that side of it, and it was hard for a lot of years, in the beginning. In the very beginning, it was just my mom and I. My wife was there for support, definitely. She was a registered nurse by trade, and so we had that separation. But she'd been with me my entire career. So she was part of it, whether she liked it or not. And then we started having kids and had our house and then by the time we had our third daughter, and Jenn was on mat leave and looking at what that looked like for our family, our life, the restaurant, her going back to work and us raising our children, it made sense for us for her to come on board here more. My mom was retiring at the time, so just everything seemed to fit into place appropriately. And then it got us to where we are now, and that's putting local food and local food on plates and really giving people a good dining experience.
So you touched on a little bit about Toronto, having the nightlife, having good time, good times available. Now, in an industry rife with, let's say, substance abuse issues, how have you dealt with keeping it in check, especially in the early years when there weren't all those responsibilities?
I didn't always keep it in check. I mean, as a young man, you have your, you have those late nights where, you're coming home at like 9 o'clock in the morning and we're working at 11 and, it's, but, I think that, self-control is a big, part of it, and knowing your own boundaries, I think that, really pushing that for me, like I like to go out and have a good time, but I also didn't like feeling shitty in the morning. So, and I always wanted to do a good job. So, if I was, hungover from, the night out, then, I didn't I wasn't able to give my 100% the next day.
The A game just wasn't there.
No. Yeah. And I, being in an industry where, you're required to be on your A game no matter what, it just, it didn't matter. So, I would prefer not to put myself in those situations,
right?
But it is what it is, and it's around you all the time, and you're exposed to it. It's just making sure that you're making those right decisions, and you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah. So like in talking with your team, I asked them about a particular time that you had a real challenge, like a really grab the bull by the horns type of moment. And there really wasn't any hesitation when I asked the guys this. It was like, and it was a few years ago, and I believe it was the night right after your reopening from the COVID.
Okay.
Which I'm going to touch on later. But that night they're referring to is one where I think it was just you and Josh. Sam was off. Mm-hmm. Another was off sick. So if you remember going back to that at night, can you, why did that night stick out so well for those guys? And you and Josh just crushed it.
I think those pinnacle points in your career where you got no other choice.
Yeah.
And this is your business. This is your livelihood. You just can't fail.
It's your name.
Yeah. So really, again, it goes to the team you have and the guys you have, and just being able to get through a day like that, a night like that, is like, it comes down to a lot of communication,
right?
To make it successful, and to have, to be able to have had that happen and make it through on the other side, and know that you accomplished it and did a good job and did your best, is like, it's really reassuring that you got a good team and you can really push forward and do a good job.
Nice. So what were your thoughts when the vid hit and you realized that shit was going to get really tough, especially on the hospitality industry?
Yeah.
I hate that word pivot. But.
Yeah. No, it was definitely difficult. We, everybody was scared, as far as, I don't think we were ever scared of COVID itself, or getting sick. Like we're healthy people. We had, healthy daughters. We eat well, all those other things. I think where we were afraid was, our livelihood.
Yeah.
Because, keeping a roof over our kids' heads, keeping the lights on the restaurant, obviously we have, staff that work for us, full-time staff that rely on us for them to pay their bills. So that was really, really scary. The saving grace for our staff, was the government. The government help for there, because they were all off. They all decided. We gave them the option. Do you want to take this time off because you can, because we're not open as a restaurant, or we're going to try and do what we can here as a restaurant. So as a restaurant, we didn't turn to takeout because I didn't feel our food is worthy of takeout.
No.
I don't want to do that. I didn't want to offer something substandard to what we were doing just to do that. So we did take a little bit of time when it first happened to kind of collect ourselves and figure out what we were going to do. And then we came up with a kind of a bread meal program that we offered once a week. And that was a lot because, we have 3 kids at home. We're homeschooling 3 kids now because of COVID. We have no staff. We have no income. This is what's happening. We didn't want to rely on the government right away, so we didn't take their money right away. So what we thought was, okay, we're going to do this meal program. And so every Monday to Wednesday, we would take everybody's orders, and we'd start prep on Monday with getting product in, and then prep it all week. And then Saturday, we would deliver to everybody that meal and bread and soup and whatever. And it was great. We had great support from the community. It really saved us, and we're super appreciative of that support. Was it a lot? It was so much, I was here Monday to Friday for 16, 18 hours a day, making bread, soup, getting all this stuff ready. And then, Friday I'd be packing it all up, getting ready for everything for delivery. Jenn is at home, getting stuff ready for the girls. They're, with their school and all that other stuff. And then the orders on top of that, organizing all the orders and the delivery routes. And then Saturday we would deliver.
Yeah.
And it'd be an all day thing. And by the time we were done Saturday at like 4 or 5 o'clock, we're pooched and we were able to put our feet up.
Yeah.
And then we decided that, okay, well, we're going to take Sunday for ourselves. That worked out, not very long, because you have to prep you have to figure out what's happening the week ahead. So now we're putting together what the meal is for that week, putting our orders in for the Monday, getting all that sorted out. And so really it was like a 7-day a week, just hammered out. So after 2 months of doing that, we had to stop.
Yeah.
It was just staff were still off, and it just said, you know what, we need to take a break. So we sent out messages to everybody who'd been supporting us, told them that we were taking a break, and then we took a break for about 3 weeks. And then restaurants opened back up again. Yeah. So it was a really kind of perfect timing in the sense that, like, we had taken some time off pre-bread meal program. We've done our meal program for a few months. We took some time off to not kill ourselves. Yeah. And then the restaurant opened. Yeah. So, and then in that time, that's when Sam also broke his collarbone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So you mentioned the long days, stress, and think of some advice to any small business owner out there. Yeah. It's like, what's your coping strategy or outlet for the inevitable stress that not only comes with being a chef, but a small business owner as well?
Yeah. I think now, coming out of all of this, looking at kind of dividing my time up appropriately in my life, enough for work, enough for home, enough for the family, enough for myself, I've enough time so that my wife and I can spend some time together, looking at those things and being able to, not be 100% of work 100% of the time, and so now, I picked up, within the last year, I picked up disc golf, so doing that with buddies and meeting new people and just kind of having that thing that I can do once or twice a week that only takes a couple hours. The guys here go golfing too, so I've gone golfing with them a couple times, trying to find those times to, just do something that's healthy and productive and not, because we can always cope with, traditionally in our industry, substances, substance abuse, and like that just wasn't going to help the situation. Right. So we really wanted to make sure that, what we were doing was dividing that time up appropriately.
So do you believe there's a work-life balance? Like, I hear that, and I kind of equate it to, there's different seasons in our lives where I think you're going to go harder than others, and you're going to be more focused on family at one point than the other. Yep. But what's your take on a balanced life?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, because like you said, it depends on which season of life you're in. Like if you have young kids, then like they require a lot of your time. And we're here we've with our life, Jenn and our life and our family and the restaurant. Like, for years when the girls were little, Jenn was home with the girls and taking care of them and raising them, and I was grinding it out and making it work. And now we're in a new season where, like, Jenn's here more, Sam and the guys are here more, I'm here less, but I'm home. I'm home with the girls, and we're having dinners together, and like, because our work week is a little bit different. We're only open for business from Thursday to Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we can have dinner together as a family. Yeah. So 2-3 nights a week where we can have dinner together is phenomenal. Nice. Most people, as families, they get that every night because they're 9 to 5s. But like, for us, it's especially special. Nice. Because we have that limited time, so we want to take that opportunity to really make sure, okay, we're sitting down at the table, we're having a family meal, and this is what it is. So. Right. I think just forcing yourself to take that time is important.
Nice. Yeah. What chef, dead or alive, gets to cook your meal and you actually get to sit down and eat that meal with and shoot the shit with?
Oh man, that's a hard one. There's a lot.
There's a lot. Now, while you think about that,
there's a lot. Yeah.
I actually messaged Jenn, and
Yeah.
this kind of goes in with what maybe one of your favorite restaurants you've ever, because I know you and Jenn like to travel,
Yeah.
get out to the nice restaurants,
Yep.
like. And so I asked her top two, and she
Yeah.
said Le Bernardin,
Yeah.
with, a seafood centric restaurant.
Yeah.
It truly lived up to the fine dining. And then last year you got a chance to go to Chicago.
Yep.
And she had said The Girl and the Goat was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was a simpler, more approach to food, but it was very well done.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it would be amazing to sit and pick both Stephanie Izzard and Eric Rippert's brains. They're both amazing chefs in their own merit.
Yeah.
Eric Rippert, when we ate at his place, it was phenomenal. Like they spared no expense on the food and the service, and really kind of, gave you a little bit more insight as to what we could do as a little place in a rural community, while still maintaining our own identity. Obviously, you're as a chef, you're influenced by a lot of different things. You're influenced by other chefs. You're influenced by seasons. You're influenced by products. You're influenced by producers. And so it's trying to take all those influences and make them your own and put them together on a plate.
Right.
To have people enjoy. So yeah, I think that like those two restaurants that she had mentioned specifically are great. I think The Girl and the Goat in Chicago. They also have a location in Los Angeles as well. Phenomenal, great. They had a chef's table experience. We had a reservation there. We didn't even really know too much about it going into Chicago, but doing some research while we were there, we came across it and we're like, oh, we definitely have to check this place out. It looks super cool and tasty. And then they had a chef's table, which like 639, we have a chef's table here. So now it was booked when we arrived. But we asked about it and asked if it was available, and they're like, "Well, somebody's sitting there now, but I think they're almost done. Do you guys mind waiting?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll wait." And so then we got the chef's table experience there, and like the staff were wonderful and really accommodating and super approachable and just being able to be on the receiving end of it at a different venue was just really great.
Right.
And it wasn't like this chef's table that was this monstrosity because it's in a big city. It was, just a couple seats.
Nice.
That's it. And that's I think where people really kind of have great experiences is not only just the food and the service that you get, but the personalities that are there at each of these places. And The Girl and the Goat had lots of personality.
Nice. Now the next question. Now, I know you've read this book, Third Plate, Dan Barber. You've also got a bit of history with that. But the question is going to be, how do you measure success right now? But I just want to read, it's probably one of my favorite excerpts in this book that I'm just going to breeze through. Now, Miguel is the fish farmer that was hired to manage a fish farm. And it's not your typical fish farm, but Miguel nodded so he was asked, how do you measure success? Miguel nodded as if expecting the question, and in a perfectly orchestrated act of good timing, he pulled alongside a shallow levee. Thousands of pink flamingos stretched before us, a pink carpet as far as I could see. That's success, he said. Look at their bellies. He pointed. They're feasting. I was totally confused. This is Dan Barber now saying, feasting? Aren't they feasting on your fish? Yes, he said, as proud as I'd heard him all day. Lisa and I laughed, but he ignored us, looking out at the flamingos. There are 30,000 flamingos. Overall, we lose 20% of the fish eggs and baby fish to the birds here. But Miguel, isn't a thriving bird population the last thing you want on a fish farm? He shook his head slowly, with the same calm acceptance Eduardo had shown in the face of losing half of his goose eggs to hawks. We're farming extensively, not intensively, he said. This is the ecological network. The flamingos eat the shrimp. The shrimp eat the phytoplankton. So the pinker the bellies, the better the system. The quality of the relationship matters more than the quantity of the catch.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know why, that just strikes home, and we could get into fish farming, all that. But,
Yeah.
I just like how he took a broader sense of success is not black and white. It's looking at the whole system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's no truer words have been spoken, right?
right.
It's really cool. I think that, I would gauge, our success, on longevity. The fact that we've been here for 18 years. Our restaurant opened in 2005, and here we are still now, kicking it around. Restaurants aren't profitable. It's got to be a labor of love. It's got to be sustainable for sure. But I think that what we really need to think about is what purpose do restaurants serve? Are they just there to feed our bellies? Or are they there to, bring you joy and bring people together and breaking bread together is such an important part of, our human code, right?
Totally.
So I think that, taking these things into perspective and knowing that, like, for 18 years, we've been bringing people together to enjoy food and drink and break bread together and have good times, and that's continuously happening, then we're successful.
Right.
We went on our first vacation as a family, right at the beginning of 2020. January 2020 was our first family vacation, and it was great time. Took us 10 years of our first child being born to go on a vacation.
Yeah.
But that's not a measure of success. I'd rather, make sure that we live a happy life, eating good food, spending time with people that we love, and just enjoying each other's company with food around us, and being able to offer that in our own establishment, and continue doing that rather than, vacationing every year or going to this place and that place. For sure, I want to go and eat good food around the world. But that's not a success thing. That's self gratification kind of thing, right? So I think that's where our success, I see our success. The fact that we are able to see other people's successes that have worked for us throughout the years, seeing multiple chefs that have worked for us go on from here and become successful in their own merit. Knowing that, like, we've helped other people on their journey to become chefs, and had impact on their lives, much like the chefs I work for have had impacts on me. So if we can continue doing those same things and treating people well and being good to each other, I think that's really, at the end of the day, what will prevail all of us, is just being good to each other.
Yeah.
So,
well, that seems like a good spot to end that here. That's an awesome answer.
Yeah, thanks.
So anyways, I just want to say thanks, taking the time. Garrett and I got an amazing meal, poached lobster.
Yeah.
And it's just great to, this being our first podcast, I want to say thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah, no problem. This has been great.
So again, thank you, Eric. If there's nothing else to add, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're in Woodstock, Ontario. 639 Peel Street is the location. 639 is the restaurant, and we're here. We're here Thursday through Sunday, and we really appreciate the support of everybody, the community, and anybody who wants to dine with us, and anybody who wants to come back again. We love you even more. So yeah.
Thanks. And for the new podcast viewers, Chris Seafood, and anybody living in the Woodstock area, we have a store at 1300 Seagrave, Unit 4 on Seagrave Drive. And also, please follow us on YouTube. As a small business, that's one of the best things that you could do to help us out right now, is subscribe, like, and comment if you wish. But main thing is, please subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So that's it. Look out for some of the videos coming out soon in the new year. The podcast will be running every 2 weeks. So Thank you very much. I'm Chris, owner of Chris Seafood, keeping you informed of business owners in the area. And remember to keep your meals hook, line, and simple. Thanks a lot.